Hello, my name is Liam Bishop, and welcome to the Rippling Pages Rippling Points. This is extra bonus content from last month's episode, so that's a little bit more insight, a little bit more inspiration into the craft of writing. And I've got Pola Oloixarac talking about her delve into the archives to learn more about 1970s Argentina. And then you'll also hear us talking about her next project, which I'm sure you'll agree sounds incredibly exciting. Don't forget to leave a review on your favourite podcast provider if you've enjoyed this or indeed any other episode of the podcast. And I'll be back later this month with a new episode and a new writer. I'll see you then. Very interesting. So you found these texts in the archives. Why did all this, or why did it become so kind of contemporary now? Because obviously sort of going back to sort of Peronist Argentina, what is it that you found that sort of instigated that journey?
Presence of the 70s
Yeah.
was kind of brewing in the culture of the time, I would say, like, late 2000s, because there was a new administration at the time, the Kirchner administration. It was like the first Kirchner that would come to power. Then, they would stay in power for like 25 years. But at the time, it was very important for their government branding to kind of like take on the epic of the Montoneros. So this was really part of the cultural conversation going on and on. So it wasn't just, an obsession of mine. Like it was literally the way that the government had chosen to create their own connection with the media. So, they would set up, these great events where, there would be like this picture of Videla, the dictator, and no, and he's going to like put it down, and oh, this was such a great event, and they were like literally using like all this energy connected to the victims of the 70s to infuse with a new epic for their own government, in order to seem like more radical, more leftist, more, more of all the things that would make a government cool and new at the time. So for on the one side, there was this situation, and then there was, the very clear thing to me, because I like history, was that kind of like no one in the left had ever said anything about, they're making some mistakes about like killing civilians, or targeting, for example, other politicians that were also civilians, in order to send messages to Peron, and how that logic worked. And they were hailed, suddenly they were ministers, they were the people that were considered, the examples of honesty, or examples of the new ethics, which were literally the people, that were part of the guerrillas at the time. So I would go, to the library, to the National Library, and I would find, all these magazines of the 70s. And for example, one of the things that struck me a lot was, there were the horoscopes. One of them, like I put it verbatim, and there were also, like Levi's pants publicity ads, and they were talking about disappearing people. And this was like before people were getting disappeared, but it was like still something that was part of the culture at the time. So this was very shocking to me to feel that that there was like this very dense substance kind of brewing, and that this brew would kind of like would still infuse us with all its perfume. And to see the politicians of today kind of like rub themselves with the mud of those guerrilleros, in order to, to be again, um fueled by this new kind of warfare of that politics was to become, because they were to be, the new populists, because they weren't just using it for the sake of it, or just to create a new narrative. I mean, all governments need new narratives, but in this case, they were trying to become, the warriors of good against, the evil, right? And etc. That was, also like a straw man, right? Because they were building it the way they wanted, like most governments do.
What's next then in all of this? Where's this journey
Uh,
taking you?
Well, I am finishing an essay now, and I'm writing another novel I hope that I will finish soon. But the essay I have to um, yeah, deliver it next year. And what I'm presenting now in Spain, that just came out in Argentina, it's a novel called Bad Hombre. And it's a very fun book. It's all based on real stories of, well, different women that contacted me and asked me if I could help them like ruin men's lives. They were sometimes they were, connected with them, because they had a love story, but sometimes no. So there is a little bit of like a Darwinist quest sometimes of like canceling one man in order to pursue propel your career. I mean, it's not just revenge, and well, and this is another thing that fascinates me, how twisted desire can be.
Okay, bad hombre, which would be,
But hombre, yes.
which I think it means bad man. I don't speak Spanish, but
Well, but very, very good. It was actually coined by Donald Trump. He was using it in 2016 when he launched his campaign. He was saying, we have many bad hombres that are entering the country. So I realized that, that the bad hombre was this kind of Latino man, undesirable by the state. And so this confluence of, of Trump, and at the same time women that wouldn't like Trump at all, but they would still like see the same enemy in the same in the same kind of human, that was quite fascinating to me. And then I started like finding all these different cases. I mean, all these different women approaching me in San Francisco, in Buenos Aires, in Paris, and they had one objective: to get rid of certain men.
wow. How did they contact you? How did they know to contact you?
Well, because I mean, this happened between 2016 and 2018. This was when the wave of Me Too was more radical. So, like most women, I received a lot of invitations of being part of lynching of men, online lynching, or I don't know, campaigns on Facebook or on Instagram, or like, hey, we're all going against this guy. Do you want to join? Or, like so I'm just like trying to examine that phenomenon, and trying to understand, what's the dynamic behind that, what is so riveting, and also and does it actually work? Is it good for feminists to go and cancel men's lives and have them out of jobs? Is it actually improving the cause of women? The cause of women is something that interests me a lot, and so I'm trying to refine the way that we, I don't know, that we think about it, or kind of like to assess what actually works or what actually doesn't work. So this book is about that, but it's a very it's based on real stories, and I know it's a kind of experiment that I haven't done before. And it was quite fun to do. And well, in Argentina I did great, and now it's coming out in Spain, so we'll see.
Okay. Did you find the answers to those questions?
Oh yes, but you have to wait for the translation, darling. No, it's not.
Ah, okay. That's a shame. Oh, yeah, Rippling Pages exclusive there. How exciting. I think.
Absolutely.